Hi, Joe. I just wanted to let you know that I can not hear you. However, I am reading your lips a little bit. So I just wanted to check in here to make sure.
Hello.
Now I can hear you, beautiful lady.
Ah,
I could I could not hear that intro, but I could tell that it was amazing.
okay, so can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so let's start again because if you didn't hear me, anybody else hear me. So
Perfect.
this is Joe Peters with MomFit. After we fix that technology glitch, you saw my lips for 2 minutes. Welcome to the MomFit TV show and the Spanish World Network and Her Network on channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV app on the respective app stores, iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Single TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Roku sticks in all smartphones since 2016. And if you are not following me in social media yet, please go to Instagram and find me at Joe Unicorn Coach so you can keep up with all the things that I share. Today, I am super excited to have Kate here with us. Kate is the founder and CEO of Danu, and she started the mindset shift to manage stress through, I love this, building everyday habits to be happier and healthier at home and at work. How many of us, mama, need that? We all need that. She does this through coaching one on one, workshops, keynote speaking engagements, and had over 20 years of experience in education. Kate is known by holding her client's hand on the journey with love and keeping it real mentally. So, one of the things that I ask all my guests is to tell me about a phrase. And all of you mamas that are here every Friday know that I'm the unicorn coach. So this is going to be interesting because the unicorn coach is going to be talking about it's not always sunshine and rainbows, even when the unicorns love rainbows. But that is the phrase that Kate picked. And I so agree with that. So, Kate, welcome to the show. Welcome to being here with us. I would love if you start by sharing why that phrase was the one that resonated with you to share with us today and a little bit of your story. How is being your journey as a mom and how you start helping moms and women to be happier and healthier at work and at home.
Sure. So, first, Joe, massive amounts of gratitude for having me on today. I've been looking forward to this chat. So, thank you for inviting me. And my phrase, it is not always sunshine and rainbows, is something that I have always said as a mother, as an educator, within my business, to my clients. And the reason why it aligns with me and who I am is because of that keeping it real mentality that I bring. So, it is not a magic pill when we work on ourselves, and just because we are working on our personal development doesn't mean that it's automatically going to shift. You're going to have days where things are just messy. So that's the it's not always sunshine and rainbows phrase that I chose. And I think it applies to so many areas of life. And it's just a reminder that it's okay that we are not perfect. In fact, I always say that if someone says, "Oh, this is going to change your life tomorrow," that's a huge red flag. So that's why I picked it.
I love that. And I think you make me think about analogy that I built from a very good friend of mine. And is the analogy of the A ropes. And that is that a boat, a cruise ship, is anchored in port by several ropes, at
Right.
least eight. And then when they are ready to start moving, they undo the first rope and the boat is not moving. Then they undo the second rope and the boat is not moving. And then when they get to the seventh rope, oh, the boat start moving a little bit. And then when the eighth rope goes on, then the boat move. And I think that that is the reason why people are like, oh, I'm gonna just fix it for you overnight and it's going to be magic. And I agree with you. When I hear those promises, I ask people, run. Even if you don't work with me, one of
Right.
the things I told is if a coach has promised you that, wrong, because that coach is undervaluing the power of your journey, and that it's like we are going to be talking with you, a stacking of habits and building the skills so you can start having that. So I love that. Kate, why you don't share with our mamas, mainly our mamas, our moms to be, and new moms,
Mhm.
either new moms for the first time or moms, new moms of, even if they have different other kids. Why you don't share your story and what make you start that aha moment of saying, I need to help others to be healthier and happier at home and at work, and share a little bit about your journey as a mom and with your family.
Absolutely. So my journey is always evolving, as I'm sure, new moms can relate to this. If you are pregnant again, you have a couple kids, that as a mother, I feel like when I had my first son, they handed me the baby. And although I was knowing that this was going to happen, I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this little human? Right. So I've constantly been learning and growing alongside of my children. Of course, I have the experience and wisdom, just being a human myself. And as an educator, I know a lot about what kids, should be doing developmentally, and maybe what is a sign that maybe we need to check in here to see if everything's okay. But until you have your children, you don't really fully understand that. Even as a teacher, I was a teacher for 20 years. And when I had my oldest, who is now 17, I then started to realize what it's like to get someone ready to go to school, for example, and then me run off to work. And my youngest guy, I have three beautiful children. My daughter is in the middle. And then my youngest guy is a middle schooler right now. And that journey for me really shifted because he has unique educational needs. He has dyslexia, ADHD, auditory processing. And some of the things we're going to talk about today, I worked with him, related to his brain and neuroscience, as I did with my students as well. But that journey, because he had an IEP for special education, was a new evolution of my motherhood. And it is something that in the beginning, I did a lot of crying over and thought, how am I going to ever do this? But I traveled the journey through the messy middle, as I call it. And now many would probably describe me as a fierce advocate because I know a lot of things and I will support, those who are supporting his needs, and I will fight for them too if I think that they are not being met. So that is my journey as a mom. And I joke sometimes that my oldest son is my guinea pig child because, he's going to go to college next year. He's interested in college. And although I've gone to college, I've never, helped a child figure this out. So we're always evolving as mothers. So I'm hoping today you can steal some of these tips and, start putting them into your life so it's uniquely working for you.
And I love what you are saying, and I want to go into that before we go deep into how to shift your mindset and reign as a mom, because I think that is connected, right? Is we as society are creating a picture of what motherhood should be
Right.
about, like I, like it blows my mind when I get moms at 9, 10 months worry because their kids are not saying more than 20 words, like, and that is part of that pressure
Oh, yeah.
of what it should be. And then we start forgetting, one of my favorite comics is a comic of a monkey, an elephant, a tiger, a fish in front of a desk representing the teacher, that's saying if you evaluate all of them by their skill to climb trees,
Right.
only one of them is going to be successful and satisfied. Because if you, no matter how much you try, if you try to make a fish climb a tree, the fish is
I know
not in.
that. I know
So
that comic very well, and I totally agree with you. And what I'm going to say to you is all of those shoulds and supposed tos, you need to let go of those. It is very hard to do that because we are hearing that, or we are thinking it through our brain. I do a lot of work with neuroscience and your reticular activating system. And what you are saying to yourself, really will become your reality. So you are worried about what the neighbors think, what the other moms think, and maybe what someone at work is thinking, when in reality, they have their own stuff going on. So it's really important to acknowledge those shoulds and supposed tos that you were mentioning, but find ways and habits where you can release those. And related to that comic, so true. That is one of my favorite. I've seen it many times and is one of my favorite examples, especially for my son who has unique educational needs. Because when you look at my son, you do not know. You can't see dyslexia. You can't see, he doesn't have overactivity, ADHD. So you can't look at him and say, oh, well, this is going on, this is going on, and this is going on, because you cannot see inside his brain. But if you read his documents, then just like that fish, that he needs some accommodations to be successful. And once he gets those accommodations, oh my goodness, wait till I tell you some stories about some things that he has done since kindergarten to now being in sixth grade. And it is all related to his mindset and, of course, the hard work of his educators. And I'm going to take some credit to my husband and I that we have done. So
I
I love
think I,
that.
I think that you need to. That is something that I call my moms about, and is fire triad. And that fire triad is, I found that the most powerful thing for us as females to get empowering is working on that triad. And that triad is bragging, being
Mhm.
grateful, and desire. So I think that you are allowed to brag, because even with the educators doing a great job, if he didn't have you as an advocate, if he didn't have you as his mom, if he didn't have you there holding his hand and say, hey, I'm not going to let me, your teachers, or anybody in this freaking world try to evaluate you to climb a tree. We are going to find you an ocean where you can thrive. He will not
Right.
be doing that. So well brag, mama.
Thank
And
you.
you need to take a lot of that credit. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's dive in. One of the first topics is, and I want to hear your opinion and your tips, both in both fronts, for us as moms, and then also how we can support our kids on this. And it's how to shift our mindset and retrain our brain. And I will say this from the moms is, we already talked a little bit, all that society push of what it should look like, who is a good mom, how you should behave, but then also with our kids, because now that I'm raising a boy, we are a lot into now breaking the paradigm into how to support our girls, but
Mhm.
we are still not very good into how to support our boys to not be the chauvinist, sexist, high privileged person that unfortunately we are seeing in the adult men right now rolling the world. So how we can, as we shift our mindset and retrain our brain, how we can also keep moving that into our children, both boys and girls, for them to also get what your son had on that mindset and that muscle of trusting their inner wisdom.
So there's a couple of things that I think we could talk about there. And the first part that is extremely important that you just mentioned, Joe, your mindset as a parent is definitely going to impact your children. So the way you show up in the world today and every day, you might not think that, one little thing today is going to make that big of a difference, but over time, it's a huge impact. And you are a role model for your children. And this doesn't mean that you have to be imperfect, that you have to be perfect. In fact, I would encourage you to realize that when you do something that you consider imperfect, you are actually teaching your children that it is okay to be imperfect. And what you do next, how you respond, is what they are going to learn. If you apologize for that behavior and maybe you wait till you're calmed down to do it and you use specific terms like, I feel very angry when you do this. But you have to remember that your children are taking little pieces of you and moments from their childhood, and they are going to absorb that, and it will carry with them through their whole life and become an adult, the adult that they are. And if you want to raise a happy, healthy, positive human being, and you don't want to have that person that you were describing in leadership roles that might be, sexist, or just giving some characteristics and vibes out to the world that nobody is really here for. If you want to say, you know what, my job is to raise you to grow up to be the man you are going to be, or the daughter that, the woman that you are going to be, that's really just an important thing to consider. And I think three things that, and I want to share a tool, to help boost that confidence. But three things that I would say is, one, listen to your kids, listen to them. And I'm talking even in the times it's tough when they're having a meltdown. Sometimes, this is maybe toddler, middle school, teenagers, maybe even my son when he's going to college next year, that sometimes people just need to vent, right? They are little humans. If someone said to you, "Oh, you're so silly, Joe. You're so silly trying to act this way. Like, just move on. You're fine. Let it go." These are big feelings for little humans, and they're trying to figure out how to process them. So you need to listen to them. And that means sometimes be quiet and actually just listen, let them vent. And then without judgment, maybe ask them, how do you feel? What would you do? Is there something you could do differently here? And then the second thing is, I would love to talk about I am statements and your mindset, because I've done this with my son. I've done it with myself. As we were saying, our mindset affects our kids. So if you want me to give some examples, I can there. And thirdly is, let them fail. As long as they are safe, let them try things and fail. And this is, putting the lid on the cup. You don't have to grab it and do it for them. Yes, maybe a little bit is going to spill out, but as long as they are safe and they're not going to, ruin the whole area of the room, let them try. And as they get older, you will see, I just sent my son to take a placement test last night. He drove himself there. He didn't know exactly where the room was. Now, could have I gone with him and said, all right, there's the building, but I let him do it. I could track him on my phone because I'm like the stalker mom who has that app, because I want to make sure he's safe. But when I saw he was there, parked in the parking lot, a couple minutes, I sent him a text. I made him show up early. I do help and guide, but I'm letting him do things on his own. And I sent a text to him. I said, did you find the room yet? He said, not yet. I'm going to ask someone. And, I was like, this is great. He's a junior in high school right now, and I could have easily, figured it out for him, but I'm letting him fail a little bit there so that he can learn. So I think listen. The second one is those I am statements, which really will change your mindset and that reticular activating system I talked about. And third, let them fail as long as they're safe.
I love that, and we're going to talk into all of this a little deeper. One of the
Mhm.
things that I love on what you are saying is that part of building their confidence, because I was actually reading on Tam by Glennon Doyle, and she was talking about that. She was saying we make the mistake to think that our job as a mom is keep them in a crystal ball, safe from anything that could hurt them, because they are our children, right? We
Right.
grow them.
Right.
So whenever they hurt, that hurt more to us. But then she was saying, what if our only job is love them and let them be? And I love your example yesterday, and goes back into toddlerhood. And I remember when my baby was 6 or 7 months old, um, my in-laws, my mother-in-law came. She lives out of the state, and start going into like that. No, no, no. So both my husband and I sit down and say, "Hey, we are trying as much as possible to not say no, unless it's a danger situation or a health concern, because." Since they are 6 months old until they are around 14, 15, they hear the word no up to 400 times per day. That is the
Right.
only thing that they hear. Don't do this. No, don't do that. No. And instead, if we start creating that skill that you are saying of being there to support them, being their coach, being behind them, but let them try, let them struggle, let them figure out. It's absolutely amazing. That is, so now it's gonna go a little deep. You say on retraining your brain. So
Mhm.
in terms of retraining our brain, what that encompass, what that means, and what would be a good time frame? Because I also know that sometimes we have this habit, thanks to these little guys, of instant gratification. So I don't want any of my moms getting excited about what you are saying here, start doing it, and after a week say, yeah, what Kate said is not going to work for me.
Right. So I love that you just said that, because another favorite phrase of mine is, this is not a magic pill. I do not sell magic beans or, say this is a magical thing that will change your life. Yes, it will actually transform your life and your child's life, the things I'm about to share with you, but you need to do the work. You cannot expect, it's just like, let's say us as an adult, I'm going to eat a salad and now I'm perfectly healthy. You can't think that that is going to happen. So the same thing with your brain, as you were saying, all those no's that come into us, studies will show that when you hear negativity just one time, you need 7 positive things to come through your brain. And this is research. I'm not making this up. That you need those 7 positive messages just to outweigh it. And it doesn't disappear. It is still in there. So it's really retraining your brain to focus on things that you want to happen. So I'm going to give you something that I think is really powerful. This was a study done by a psychologist. Her name is Mccauley. And this is something that you could do with your children literally today. And really, as an adult, you could do it too. And what it is called is the power poses. And if you want to boost your confidence, this study has been done with kids, with surgeons, with athletes, with business owners, women, moms. You've probably heard, the Wonder Woman pose where you put your hands on your hips like this, your feet are spread wide apart. And this pose gives you that sense of power. There's a couple other poses that you could do. One is called the boss pose, where you put your hands on a table or a desk. I know you guys can't see me, but down low anyway, but you put your hand on the table or desk, you spread your feet about a wide apart, just like that superhero pose. And you think of like a boss, if you picture it, you're going to their office and they're standing there at their desk. What you need to do is 2 minutes. They did a study on this. If you can hold that pose for 2 minutes, I'm just going to go Wonder Woman because I love my Wonder Woman. So if you hold that pose for 2 minutes, you actually will change the hormones that are going through your body, and it will change your brain. You can add on visualization to up the ante on this, but you can have your kids do this. They can do this as toddlers, elementary school, high schoolers, adults can do it. And they don't have to do it. You're not doing it to read their body language. You're not judging them saying, stand up straight, honey. That is not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to use your body language for yourself to increase that confidence level. And you have to do it for 2 minutes. And of course, it's going to take some time. Now, I'm not saying you got to like Superwoman, Wonder Woman pose like all day long kind of thing. But let's say it's the first day of school, or they have a big test, or they're going to preschool for the first time. Or when my son was a safety, for the 5th graders last year, and he was a little nervous and there was some anxiety, related to that. Or if it's just, going somewhere new or somewhere where your child is showing signs of smallness, where they're, when we're afraid or anxious, our bodies will react to that. So you can teach your child to do this, and you're not judging them while they do it. As a matter of fact, you're not going to say, we're going to do the power pose now. You're going to say, let's go into Iron Man or Wonder Woman. And you are going to try that pose. Say, let's hold it for 2 minutes. You could do it with them. Then it can be a secret tool for them. They could go to a place like, say, can I please go to the bathroom, if it's in school, and go do the power pose real quick. Or before we get in the car, do the power pose, and if you want to say, visualize yourself going into that situation and just crushing it. You are the superhero taking over the world. And it could be that boss pose, the superhero. There's one you can do seated, but that is a tool. I like to give tools, and they're not magical. I don't give out magical things. It is based on neuroscience that you could change. We could also talk about I am statements. I do it every single morning with my son since he was in preschool, and we still did it this morning. I actually asked him, Ryan, you've cracked the code for dyslexia. We talk about it, and he knows that he has his IEP. He has known since he's been very little, because it's not a secret. He has a beautiful brain, and he is unique. And this is why he will be successful. And, I'm feeding that positivity to him. But we also have I am statements. that he could use. And I can share it with you if you want, but we say something every single day, and your listeners can steal it and make it their own if interested.
And I love that because that is what make it what you do, and is how daily habits to make your life happier and healthier every day. So we are not talking about huge amounts of time. We're talking about 2 minutes. We are talking about us starting to build that confidence and then seeing it. And then I will tell you, it's sometimes we hear that, and it's very popular into, I will tell you, something that I was reading some research is a lot of sales and marketing teams, the highest performance marketing teams and sales teams, use the power pose. Each of them find a pose that make them feel strong, grounded, and then before they get the call, they take the phone to call and try to close $1 million sale, a $5 million sale. They anchor into that so that, like you were saying, their entire body, their entire mind, everything is aligned. One of the things that I say all the time is, if athletes and high performance and people at the highest level are using tools, then the only thing that is stopping us from doing them is not knowing them. But as soon as we know them, as soon as we learn from you this, then is just do it, because you are having not only the scientific proof and research, but you are also having the evidence and the trajectory of all these high performance successful people that are applying that research. So I love that. Now, let's go to talk a little bit before we go into the I statements that I love.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about habit stacking,
Yes.
because one of the things that I see with moms is that we have this rush, this call to go from 0 to 100. So
Mm-hmm.
I was not working out when I was pregnant. I was not working out in the first 6 months, but I am ready. I need to move my body. So I move into making a goal to work 7 days per week in the gym for an hour. Then after 2 weeks, the mom stop doing it, feel frustrated, feel as a failure, and we keep in that hamster wheel. So I would love for you to share a little bit about what is that
Habit
power,
stacking.
what is that
Yeah.
magic of habit stacking, and how we can start using habit stacking to take us closer to where we want to be in our life.
So, this is a tool that you should steal for any area of your life. Habit stacking will help you become successful, because what Joe was just explaining, going to the gym, trying to get that, in place because you want to feel happier and healthier in your body. You think to myself, I want to do this. I really feel like if I moved my body, I would maybe look better. I would feel better mentally. And there's a lot of research based on that. But you try and then you think, oh, I have no willpower, I can't do this, or I'm so busy. You list all of the excuses as to why it's okay for you to stop doing it. So habit stacking is basically you take something that you already do and then you stack a new, I call it be better behavior. And let me just say that there's nothing wrong with you right now when you work on personal development. It's just that you don't want to stand still. We all do this. Successful people like Joe was just saying, I'm going to tell you a secret. I did a power pose before I came on. And I stack a habit with that. I know that when I'm going to go on and speak, whether it's on a format like this, on a podcast, a speaking event, I stack the habit of doing that power pose. I also play a song, and I know now that this is what I do. My brain is retrained. So that reticular activating system will help you with this habit stacking, because you don't realize it, but you have habits. We probably do realize it, but there's habits in your life like brushing your teeth. You don't remember how we started to do that, but your brain knows when you wake up, whatever your order is in the morning, and it's unique for everyone. Maybe you first like go into the bathroom and then you wash your hands, then you brush your teeth, whatever it is that is your habit. Your brain has that in a file, that reticular activating system knows that. And if you forget to brush your teeth, you'll think to yourself, did I brush my teeth? Or I have to go and do that, because your brain is sending those messages to you and you're not consciously thinking about it. That is a gatekeeper for you. Of course, other areas of the brain are working with the reticular activating system. But if you think of a habit that you already do, let's say we take your example of going to the gym. You do something every single day where you could add that gym time in. So for me, I drop off my youngest at school, and then I have a time period before I start my day that I can go to the gym. So after I drop him off, I go to the gym. And over time, my habits start to say, this is what I do now. Okay. Now, if you want to make it even more of a habit stacking, when we wake up in the morning, we talked about the brushing our teeth. If you then say, like, I laid it out the night before, my clothes are ready, I get dressed for the gym. Now I go here, drop my son off, go to the gym. Now, you can't do it for one day. Like we were saying, this is going to take some time. I would highly recommend that you keep yourself accountable with someone, a partner, a coach in some way, or track your achievements and write it down at the end of the night. Again, let's stack a habit. You do something every night before you go to bed, whether you realize it or not, you do. Maybe you plug your phone in, maybe you turn the alarm on, whatever it is you do. If you want to put that achievement journal, and it can be a little notebook, it doesn't have to be something fancy, and a pen is already sitting there with it. Let's stack a habit for you that you are going to write down those achievements after whatever that thing is. You plug the phone in, set the alarm, stack the habit. And then when you're now writing down that you went to the gym today, and maybe it's just, I peed in peace today, no one bothered me. Or, I took a walk during my lunch break. You can then train the brain to think, "Ooh, I really like this." You're giving yourself a hit of dopamine, which then will say, this habit that we're doing, we like this. Now, are you going to miss a day here and there? Of course you are. But because your brain is trained to do those things, you will want to do it again, and you will want to feel that feel good feeling of that dopamine rush that you got, saying, like, "Oh, well, look at me. I went to the gym today."
I love that. And I love how you are explaining it in a way that is progressional. Because the other thing that I would love to add is there is nothing wrong with you from going from 0 to 100 if you are not seeing it as all or nothing mentality. If you are not seeing it as, if I don't get 100, then I'm failing. Because
Right.
I will tell you my own experience working out the same exercise. I used to work a lot, working out a lot, but then I had my baby. I had a lot of issues in the fourth trimester. So by the time that my baby was like 12 months, I start feeling that I want to work out again. I was, because I'm a perfectionist in recovery, I was very aware that stretching myself to that 5 days per week or 7 days per week was going to put a lot pressure on me and was going to put me in a vulnerable place. So instead, I start stacking habits and start doing baby steps, because that is the other thing. You don't need to do the big change to make change. You can start habit stacking baby progress to make it. So I'll tell you, I commit to 2 days per week. And I say, non negotiable, 2 days per week. If I want to work out more than that, awesome. But the non negotiable is 2 days per week. I did that for a couple of months. And then something magical happened with these habit stackings. My body started asking for more.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, I really want to have more. Then I moved to 4 days. Then now I am at 5 days. But so one of the things that I love how Kate is saying is there is not a cookie cutting one solution for everybody. A lot of this also has to do with your personality. If you are a perfectionist, if you are more like a rebel, if you are very easy bored or distracted, is how to find a way to, I love what she said on the tooth brushing, because I want to hear your comments below. But if I forget to brush my teeth, like it doesn't take more than like maybe 45 minutes. I'm sitting down here, I'm like, something something feels weird today. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to brush my teeth. That doesn't happen very often, because that ickiness after not doing it is what happened after you are consistent with a habit. If there is a day that for some reason doesn't happen, then you are actually feeling that consequence, that, and they are like, oh, this doesn't feel good, let's
Right.
gonna go back into my habit.
Exactly. Yeah, because your brain knows this is what you do, girl. And why did you brush your teeth? Like you're getting those messages. You don't realize that your brain is doing that, but that is exactly what is happening. So, and what I would love to say too, as we grow and change and add those extra days or whatever it is, you need to do things like that. And it doesn't have to be the exercise thing. It could be reading a book, taking some time for yourself, just taking a walk, whatever. Of course, I would say exercise is good for you, but whatever you feel that you're in flow, make sure that you do that, moms, because when you take care of yourself first, you show up better for every single person in your life. And like we said in the beginning, what you're doing is actually role modeling for your children, even the little itty bitty ones. They're paying attention, and of course, when they get to middle school and high school, they're going to roll their eyes. Just get ready if you don't have one of those yet. But they may even say like, "Oh, so awkward and weird. You're weird, mom." But they're paying attention. And when they see that you take time for yourself, they realize that this is important. I need to take time for myself. I need to do things that, make me happy. And so I can show up better. Put your own oxygen mask on first, as we have heard before, right? And then take care of others. Because if my daughter sees me running around doing all this stuff for my business and all the stuff I do for the kids and my family, all of the hats that I wear, and she doesn't ever see me take care of myself, what kind of woman is she going to become? Right? So I want to be that role model. And even though I'm doing it for me, I'm going to the gym for me, I'm taking a walk for me, I am also putting those little nuggets into their brain because they are absorbing it and they're going to take pieces of me and make it, their own unique self. But when they show up as an adult in the world, I hope that they see some of those things and, value them because it is important, for their confidence and just as a human to take care of themselves.
And I love that. And I also love how you are doing that warning, right? Because for some of these moms that are just learning how to be a mom, it can
Mhm.
be intimidating to say, oh, my kid is going to roll his eyes or her eyes. And then you're like, just be prepared for it and know two things. First, when you are the adult, they are still a children that literally don't have their brain fully developed. And then second one is you are doing something that you know in your heart and back up by research and all that that is good for them. Because I was, when you were talking, I was remember the book that I'm reading, and she was saying exactly that. She was saying that she was trying to help her son and her son's friends to be comfortable talking about vulnerable things, because boys don't cry, because boys don't talk about soft vulnerable things. So she said that when she's driving them to activities, soccer games, whatever, she start asking them, what was the saddest thing that happened to you this week? What is, and start prompting conversation about vulnerable aspects. And that's what she said. She said, like, they roll their eyes, but as more I keep answering, asking, as more they start opening up and doing it and modeling. So I completely agree with you. Now let's want to talk about two things that are very beautiful, and that is the I statements,
Mhm.
uh, that you can use to flip the script, and then also how you can use mantras to um, be confident and feel confident. And in your opinion, what would be the main difference between I statements and mantras?
So I love these. Let me just tell you that I am obsessed with them for myself. These I statements and mantras have definitely changed my life. When I resigned from my position after 20 years as an educator and I stepped into my role as CEO of my business, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. When I was a new mom, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. So I want you to take, anyone who's listening, take these examples and make them your own. And like we were saying before, keep saying it over and over. So I statements are basically that you're going to create something, and I would want them, whoever is creating it, to be very specific, but it doesn't have to be, a long paragraph for an I statement. I'm going to share some of mine and then I can share my son's as well with you. So for me, one that I say is I am the missing piece to every opportunity that presents itself to me. That's for my business. Okay. Now, I didn't believe it at first, but I have it in my office here. I have it written on my board. I have it on different areas of post it notes. When I go on a call, I read it out loud. I actually recorded myself so that I can listen to my own voice saying, I am the missing piece to every opportunity that presents itself to me, because I show up differently on that call. I show up differently when I am speaking with a possible, client who's going to work with me in any capacity. When you say these I am statements, you are training your brain again, and we are telling our brain, this is who we are. So if you say, I am a good mom, I am enough, I am open to love, whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, you create that short and sweet I am statement. What I want to caution you with is, do not put in there, I am always in. Let's say you want to get out of debt or something, like as a new parent, and you're feeling like, all right, we want to get out of debt so we can do this, buy a new house, live here, whatever. You need to take out that negativity. So you don't want to say, I am no longer in debt. Instead, you would say, I am open to receiving money, or I am open to abundance. Put some positivity into these I am statements. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and what you are saying. So, was I the missing piece to every opportunity that presented itself to me? Absolutely not. It was the first day of my calls, and some things worked out, some didn't. But would I say I'm the missing piece now? Oh, I absolutely am. I get on every call that way, and sometimes I lose out, sometimes I get it. And when I don't get that result that I want, whatever that goal is you're setting for yourself, I'm still saying it to myself. And I'm just thinking, you know what, this wasn't meant to be for me, because I'm supposed to be here, because my brain is trained now for that. So with your children, for example, and the mantras, before I give my son's example that you can see, the mantras are a little bit longer, and they're like a chant. Okay. And you can chant the I am statements too. I do one with my son, and you could steal this, your listeners, that we do back and forth. Now, if he was here, he has it memorized and he could say it himself. But I started this when he was in preschool. I'm talking 3 years old. We started saying this because I realized that he and myself, I'm partially to blame in this, I guess, but I was saying, and he was saying to people, I can't read. I'm dyslexic. I have this, and of course that was true. We were still trying to crack the code, and we were doing all kinds of tests and different things. So, and this could go for anything, I don't use the potty or whatever, that they're saying when you're trying to retrain their brain. So we had to shift, because I noticed that he was saying things, and I'm like, well, you can do this, Ryan, but his brain and what he was telling himself were those statements that he was believing. Now, some of it, was part of learning, of course, but we started to say this mantra, and guess what? I stacked it with a habit. And I love the book that you were saying that you were reading in the book, that when they're in the car with you, you're talking, because I do this all of the time. They're stuck with me in the car. So this is when they have to chat with me. When my son got his license, I was like, I kind of miss our little chats. And, he was forced, when I was taking him to practice in school, to, kind of chat a little bit with me. And, he didn't realize it was happening, but they're stuck with you. So I did this on the way to school with him. So it was a habit. We get in the car, we check, do you have your school bag? Do you have your lunchbox? You do something with your kids when you get in the car, right? Maybe you turn the radio on, whatever. Turn the radio down, start a new habit, and start chanting this back and forth. And it doesn't have to be the same as mine, of course. Make it uniquely yours. But this is how it goes. So I say it, and then he says it back to me. So I say, today is going to be, he says, a great day. I'm going to do my best work, because I am smart. When things are hard, I work harder. I can and I will. And we add in our own little Mccauley's never give up. Now, he literally, I say that beginning part, and when you see me pointing, he chants it at the end. So if I say to him, as soon as we get in the car, today's going to be he says, great day. Now, could something happen and mess up the day? Of course it could, right? But because he is training his brain, today is going to be a great day. When things get hard, I work harder. This is something that his brain has adopted to be his belief. Now, I added something on this year with middle school, and I wanted him, because I created that one, and he does believe it now. You want to feed that positivity into their brain. But I really wanted him to take ownership. So I started to say this year, when he went to middle school, What's a goal you have for yourself, Ryan? What's something? And I started to ask it every day after the mantra. I stacked a habit for myself so I would remember to, ask it. And he started saying, oh, read, do good in math. And then one day he said, to be me. And I said, oh my gosh, I love this so much. And because, I guess I put the positivity for that and he really owned it, I still ask it every single day. And every single day I say, and what's your goal for yourself? He says, to be me. And I'm fine with that. He doesn't have to change this goal every single day. And let me tell you, this boy shows up as his true self. And we talked about his unique educational needs. And I'm also going to tell all of your listeners that when he went to preschool, he couldn't read the word the. And I'm a teacher. I had two other children prior to him. So I was like, what am I doing wrong? What is happening here? We had to figure it all out. And finally, when we did a lot of the work and we started doing the mindset stuff, even on a deeper level, huge things happened. And he is now above grade level and doing things that even his educators are saying, we don't even know how this happened. And I said, well, it's your hard work, his hard work. I'm going to brag my husband's hard work, but it's mindset too. Because same as when he was potty training, he woke up on his 4th birthday and said, I'm 4 now. I don't use diapers anymore. I don't use pull-ups. And sure enough, the kid was potty trained. I was trying for literally like a year and a half. Like, wow, I could have faked a 4th birthday if I would have known, right? But it was mindset, because this is really, like you said, adults, it changes your life. So steal those things and make them uniquely yours.
I love it. I cannot believe that we are getting close to the end of the show. And before we close up, one of the things I will tell the moms that are having babies that are still not talking, so you cannot do that back and forth. One of the things that I want you to know is your voice as a mom is the most precious thing that your son or your daughter can hear. So even if when they are falling asleep, you tell them the mantras, you tell them the I statement, there is nothing more powerful than a kid hearing their mom saying all these amazing things. So, Kate, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your love for education with all of us. Before we close, very quickly, can you please share where the audience can reach out to you?
Sure. The best place to reach out to me would probably be my website. So that is www.shop.danu, DANU, now, NOW.com. And if you can find links to all the other places that I love to hang out and social media and different places. But I definitely would love to connect. If you connect with Joe, we probably align. So thank you so much, too, for having me, Joe. It was amazing to chat with you.
Thank you so, so much, Kate. And for everybody else, this show can also be heard at the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it.